Shelly again, and we just came back from a con, so we'll be discussing Fatality Fest, which was in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it was this last past weekend, which I don't even beginning of first weekend of June. So the difference between Fatality Fest and the next con we'll be going to, Fanboy Expo, is they're pretty new cons. Fanboy Expo had one con already. They'll have their first Tampa con coming up in August. And Fatality, this is their first con they've had. So some of the cons that I'll mention later on are mostly related to things that I'd give a little more leniency because they're first time cons. If these things happen for something that's been around for 20 years, I'd probably be nailing them to the cross. But in today, I kind of put a little more leniency just because of that. So last time, I think when I did one of these, I did all the pros and then the cons and one little pro at the end. And I got the feeling that it gave a really negative vibe at the end. So this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pro and then a con. So we'll start off, the pros. This is probably one of the better selections of horror icons or horror characters. We had Ernie Hudson, Dee Wallace, April and Jimmy O from Chainsaw Sally. You had Joe Bob Briggs. You had, I'm going to forget, Tony Moran, who was the original Michael Myers. The Saska twins, which are flippin' awesome. If you haven't watched some of their stuff, American Mary's coming out in, I guess, next week. Awesome movie. You can rent it on Vudu now, but you should always check that out. They have other movies as well, and they were super sweet. They had, who else? I know they had a lot of people. For some reason, these are the ones, oh, I'm sorry, Linnea Quigley, who I love, because she is super nice and sweet. And they had a lot of other people, too, that you could say, various degrees, various genres of the horror movie thing. Technically, they had Christopher Judge, who's Stargate, so not really horror, but sci-fi, but that's okay. He went well with the group. The people I wanted to meet, I met all of them, so I was happy about that. As an afterthought, I thought maybe I should have met Arnie Hudson, because I would have loved to talk to him by the Crow. But I thought of this at like 1 o'clock on Sunday while we were at Friendly, so a little late to be thinking that. But overall, the guest list was really good. They did have some cancellations early on. I think they mentioned Tony Todd and honestly 2 other people that cared less with. But the guest list was a nice variety of some of the old school horror stuff, some of the newer up and coming like independents, and even some of the Twilight for some people who like that sort of thing. So it was good to have a variety. Okay, so since we're doing one and one, we'll do a con. So one of the negatives was it seemed, and it is the first year, there was some problems with just some of the organizations they've got going on. And it wasn't that they were completely didn't know what they were doing. They did very well for what they did. But there were certain things that could have been a little bit better. I think they didn't end up getting the screening room with the panels set up till Saturday, and I'm not sure of the details, so I can't speak to that. But when they did, for me personally, other people didn't think so. For me, I had to ask someone where it was. It wasn't far, it wasn't a big space, so it was good enough to find. But it would have been nice to say, hey, point this way, and maybe even have something outside of it saying the list of the panels. Stuff like that. It wasn't a lot. It was just a little here and there. Like I said, if this happens 20 years from now, then I'd be wondering, okay, why haven't you fixed that? Things that they learn, I'm sure. I know they were having a lot of things at the last minute. I know they had an issue with the lanyards and the wristbands because whoever they used as a printing vendor just backed out or messed up on them. So they were kind of scrambling on some of those things. So understandable. But probably, hopefully on the next con they have, I think they have one in Billings, they get some of that and learn from some of those lessons learned, as we all who work in any sort of cubicle environment where you go through a project, you learn these things and then you gather and move forward and make sure you don't repeat those mistakes. Okay, so next, another pro. And David pointed this out, and I didn't really realize this until he pointed it out, but it really was true. A lot of cons you go to, and it could be the amount of people, it could be the type of environment, could be who they've worked with who are promoting. I can't really speak to any other con, but this, a lot of them, some of the celebrities are very friendly, and sometimes even in the celebrity room, they almost seem like they have to go through. They'll be nice, they'll talk to you, they're not rude at all by any stretch, but sometimes you feel like it's a job for them. And true, they are getting paid and they're coming out to meet the fans, but they've got to make money. But this one, they seemed a little bit more having fun and laid back with each other. Now, I'm not saying that never happens at any con, but this kind of seemed like they seemed very much more at ease. I don't know if it's how they were working with the promoter or some other detail, but they seemed very at ease and happy and just kind of chit-chatting amongst themselves. It wasn't too crazy. Now, it also could be for the fact that because this is the first year of this con, there wasn't the largest crowd, so they had a little more leeway to be relaxed. Who could tell? But either way, it was nice to be able to speak to a celebrity and you didn't feel like I'm in the big line, that I need to rush through them, that even if I'm chit-chatting, that whatever. I talk to people more than I normally would, and I'm not the biggest celebrity meet people, but just certain things. The fact that Linnea Quigley knows how long it takes to get from Port Richey to West Palm Beach almost made me fall over in shock. The fact that the Saska twins kept asked people, "Oh, are you a twin?" and my husband actually responded, and they thought that was the coolest thing ever. So it just, that sort of atmosphere was readily available all over the place. Okay, so we're going to go to one of the other cons. So even though I was in VIP, I paid for the VIP party just because I wanted something. Honestly, VIP party was a buffet at Mellow Mushroom. And if anyone knows me, I'm a little addicted to pizza. Obviously, you can tell. And David's even pointing that out. So I was more than willing to do that. It was, some VIP parties have different things, but I was actually preferring this than having alcohol that I probably wouldn't like. So it was good to see. But the negative part of this was when we got to Mellow Mushroom, because it was actually on-site Mellow Mushroom, people did say, hey, go in the back. But there was no way to check if you were part of if you paid for your VIP or you were a VIP party person, or if you were just someone at the con who didn't pay for it, or if you were just someone off the street technically. It did seem later on there was more people in our area, the back patio, than not. It wasn't really roped off, so that's something for in the future, maybe something to think of if you're going to have it off-site. Maybe have a little more detail around that. In the beginning, it was a little bit of a try and get the pizzas weren't coming out quick enough, so it was like survival of the fittest. But after maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes, it started picking up and there were pizzas coming out all the time. So it was really good at that point. But just in the future, a checklist or something to prove that you don't have people just showing up who either didn't pay for VIP passes or the VIP party, so that way it wasn't a free-for-all. Okay, back to this. This is a con/pro. For me, it was a pro. For my husband, more of a con, so I guess take it as you will. The vending room had a lot of different variety of vendors. There were some of the traditional horror-type vendor things. Corsets were sold, which were awesome. You had one or two people who sold movies. Some of the weapon-type things that were knives and so on, they were there. But outside that, there were some things that were more unique that were not traditional, which I actually preferred. If you wanted just all horror stuff, you probably wouldn't. I like the fact that I could get popcorn. I know it sounds stupid, but this vendor had probably like 15, 20 different types of popcorn there. And I cannot tell you how much being drunk and needing something to munch on that this was a saving grace. In addition, we don't have any now, obviously, and I don't eat it, but my husband and our friend William was killing the chocolate-covered bacon or just the bacon, candied bacon, I don't know. But let's just say, those two vendors probably made some buku money. There were also plants and kind of natural things. It had a different variety of all different types of things. So it was cool for my opinion. But if you're looking just for the traditional type of things you sell at a con, you might have been upset because there was a little less. Next, the hotel. Believe it or not, it's not the fanciest, but it was a pretty nice hotel. Now, as a vegetarian, and I didn't feel there was that many type of food options for me, but it's South Florida, so it's going to be a little different vibe than if you're in other places. South Florida, a lot of Hispanic, a lot of food that is mainly geared for meat. But with that said, the hotel itself has its own gardens. They would say something like seasonal pasta and seasonal vegetables and seasonal this. Because it depends what's in season. The fact that they had their own garden and they grew stuff out there, number one. Also, they were super friendly. They had us as the primary con on site, but they also were a con hotel for the pole convention, which sounds really more interesting. Well, it's not that it's not interesting, but you would have thought it would have been, let's be honest, a bunch of strippers going in. It's a bunch of people who are exercising on poles, pole dancing, and most of them were not as type of people that blend well with horror fans. There were some exceptions, and those exceptions made the difference. But the hotel, I'm getting there, Dave. The hotel was really cool, and they were very friendly. They were low key. They didn't try and pressure you, and we were out there a lot. Some of us were out by not necessarily the pool because it was raining at some point, but under an awning area right before the garden. That we were out there pretty late, and no one came out. No one said anything. So way to go on the hotel. Okay, so we'll go to one negative. The after party being off-site. Presumably after the VIP party at Mellow Mushroom, there was another party after that for everyone to attend, which was at this place called Off the Hookah. Now, if anyone knows me, I love hookah, but this kind of made it a split sort of thing. So some people hung at the hotel, some people hung out at the Off the Hookah place. And it was kind of weird just because after parties for conventions should really be at the base. Now, if there is a convention center, obviously you're not going to have it there. But if it's at a hotel, try and work with the hotel and see. There was plenty of area to work with. And if we could have coordinated with the hotel to have the DJ out there, that would have been even better. But it was a nice, being at the hotel, it was able to talk to other fans. I mean, there was one night, we were just chilling with like people just socialize, and it wasn't just all us. Some of it was some of the celebrities, and some of it was even some of the people from the pole convention. We shared our alcohol. It was great atmosphere. So maybe that's something to do in the future. Okay, I'll do one more con, and then we're done with the cons, and we can move on to all. Yes, David. He's giving me a countdown, so let me finish up. One more con, and then we'll get back to all the pros and kind of some of the things we bought. Just in general, kind of more the cons, and this is a lot with the organization, more signs about when certain hours are, like when the celebrity room, when the vendor room closes. What is the display of what is playing in the screening room? We got a piece of paper, I think Saturday. They didn't even have it Friday. They didn't have it, they had a tentative schedule online, but it was never formally updated, and it ended up being different than what was on the actual final. Just some of that stuff. Even outside the room, just saying what's being shown. Also, just as a nitpicky thing, for the screening panel room, I would suggest having the door that you would have people enter in be the back door, because the door we went in was right at the front, and if someone came in the middle of someone speaking, it would have been really uncomfortable. So just as a hindsight. And really that's it on the cons. Like I said, most of the cons are related things that it's a first time con and they'll learn. Okay. The other thing, as a general, everyone was friendly there. That goes from people who were organizing the con to the celebrities to other fans. There was not someone that was like a complete douchebag in the group. It was nice. Now, usually at any cons, Majority of people will be cool, but there'll be a couple of douchebags slipped in. Can't be helped, and I'm sure if this con becomes bigger, it'll have a lot of the same issues. So, now that I've kind of given all that, let me show you some of the things we bought. Now, even though David complained about the vendors being not hard, this is someone who made candle holders out of, or candle, I guess it's a holder, it's not really a holder, out of old alcohol bottles. Now, the only thing I would say about these is once I heated one of the candles they supplied for a little bit, it felt very warm to the touch. And since I'm paranoid about glass, I'll probably just get a little flameless candle. Also, as I said before, that popcorn, it was awesome.
You showed that one.
Yes, I know. And David would love me to show the bacon jam and the chocolate covered bacon, but it's in the other room. The chocolate covered bacon's gone, but it's awesome from what I understand. I didn't eat that, obviously, but also, I bought a mess of stuff. I finally have a legitimate copy of the Linnea Quigley workout, and she was nice enough to sign it. It's signed inside, and she was super nice. Another person, really chilled. It was fun to talk to them. Someone else, Jimmy O and April, aka Chainsaw Sally. I bought their movie The Good Sister with Debbie Rochon also in it. And they were nice enough, even though I wasn't at Debbie's table, go over and get Debbie to sign it. It was super nice. They told me about their next project, which is Clementine, or My Darling Clementine, which sounds interesting. And then they even talked about how they're gearing up for another Chainsaw Sally movie, since that's the only way. The Saska twins had pictures. I don't know the details, except that American Mary isn't ready to be released. It isn't going to be till next week, I think. So that's probably why they can't sell that one, but they were super nice. I would say above all, they were probably some of the most fun celebrities. They were walking through the dealer room on Sunday. They bought courses. They bought every little thing you can imagine, and then some. They were, if you guys, even if, you should watch their movies because they're awesome. They direct and write. They also sometimes act in them, but directing and writing, they're awesome. Also, from Joe Bob Briggs, I got his book. And I got 2 of the movies he's actually done a commentary on. This movie is really bad, but the commentary made it. It's much like Double D Avenger. This, as everyone knows, is an awesome movie, Hell High. His commentary just further made it awesome. I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm willing to give another try to this con. It was, like I said, the issues they had were first year issues. So I'm willing to try, and again, I had a lot of fun, and people were really nice. So hopefully the next time they get some of the things corrected, and they'll learn more as they go. I'm going to do another video quickly about after this about the difference between South Florida and Central, and you believe it or not, there's more than you think. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you for watching, and hopefully you liked my opinion. If not, well, F you. Thank you. Bye.